Hello,
Alright, this is gonna be a reaction for, I'm calling this 1200. I made a 1100 episode. So let's lock and load. This is an episode that we shall see where this leads. So let's get this show on the road.
everybody. Welcome back to the show. It is episode 1100, and that is a number that I did not think that I would get to. I don't think I've done 1100 of anything, apart from these podcasts.
I wasn't expecting myself to reach 1200. Thank you for everybody that has participated. Thank you for everybody that has listened and are trying to improve. So let's get the show on the road.
As is tradition, I've put together a list of lessons that I've learned from the show and from writing and reading and life over the last 6 months since the last one of these that I did. I'm going to go through them today. So let's get into it. First up, I started thinking about obsession and why no one understands obsession. I think literally no one understands why obsession is the way it is. Discipline, motivation, and obsession are three words that get thrown around quite a lot. And I think most people misunderstand all three. And because of that, they miss some very big lessons about how life actually works. So here's the simplest way to separate those three out. Discipline is I will make myself do the thing.
I will make myself do the thing. Whatever doing the thing means. Making content, making a business, making identity, making personal shifts to grow your personal capacity.
Separate those three out. Discipline is I will make myself do.
Discipline is I'll make myself do the thing. Same thing with consistency. Consistency is doing the thing when you don't want to do the thing. Discipline is making yourself do the thing even when you don't want to do the thing. So knowing that you need to do something to make sure that you are successful, to make sure that you are building the life, building the habits, building the skills, building the business, building the identity, by making yourself do the thing. Whatever this so-called doing the thing is, you may never know. I may never know. Which means you must make yourself do the thing, because if not, it will never get done.
Do the thing.
Let's go.
Motivation is I want to do the thing, and
Motivation is that I want to do the thing. I think that's skewed. Motivation is that I want to do the thing and I want to make progress. I want to make my potential self live the best life that I possibly can. So motivation is I want to do the thing. Yes, that's correct, but to a certain skew. What I mean by that is that you may never know what you are motivated for, what you're trying to understand, perceive, do, think, act, and say, because you have one life to live. Live the best life that you can. Make sure that you are successful by posting the content, making the business idea, the best business idea, to make sure that you are the best self for yourself. So that's just motivation.
obsession is I can't not do the thing.
I need a good song. Obsession is that I cannot do the thing. Whatever cannot doing the thing, you must get the thing done, because at the same time, we may never know what will truly happen when we are trying to accept the thing that we are trying to build. So obsession is that I cannot do the thing, and there's limitations, and there's no end in sight, that there's no dream, that there's no vision, that there's no tell of how our life will get better, of how we are trying to understand, of how we are trying to achieve the things to where we see fit. We may never know. What I mean by that is that we may never know until we truly do the thing for a certain decade to a certain years to make sure that we are successful. So obsession is that I cannot do the thing, and there's limitations. So knowing that obsession is we need to get the thing done, because if not, it will never get done. And without knowing that we are truly trying to achieve, learn, grow, become, learn, whatever the fuck. You know what you are truly trying to learn in this video. So knowing that we are truly trying to excel within the life that we are trying to create. So just think about that for a second.
So all three produce the same outcome, right? The thing gets done.
All three produce the same outcome. The thing gets done. We know. We see the vision, we see the goal, we see the dream, we see the reality. But nobody sees how much progress, how much potential, how much unwasted energy we have wasted to get to our end point within this life. Let's go. Need to take a breath and calm down.
But the internal cost couldn't be more different.
The internal cost of all of them is that we don't have the vision, we don't see the goal, we don't see the reality because we are too blindsided by people's criticism, by posting on the internet, by seeing, because they don't see the vision, they don't see the dream, they don't see the goal, they don't see the reality that we are all trying to make. Whatever it is, $10,000, $5,000 per month, whatever it is, lock in on that thing, get it done, and commit to the next thing. Make sure that you are leaving everything on the field of play, everything on the field of work, because we have these skills, we have this mentality, we have this belief system because we see the goal, we see the reality, we see the goal, and through that, nobody sees the vision as well as we see the vision. So just think about that for a second. The internal cost is the same for every single one, just depends upon your output, or your, not output, your viewpoint, your understanding, your thought pattern, your belief pattern, everything has relation.
And the difference is primarily around friction. So discipline is friction accepted. You don't want to do the thing, but you do it anyway. You lean on effort, willpower, routines.
You lean on effort, willpower, routine, habits, beliefs, systems, patterns, understandings. We lean on everything because we are trying to become obsessed. We become disciplined enough to make ourselves become obsessed. So just think about that.
And environment and design and past patterns and habits and drag yourself over the line. And it's mostly under your control, which is why it's so reliable. If you're willing to pay the price, discipline will always show up. But
if you're willing to pay the price, discipline, obsession, consistency, input, and output will always show up. Just depends upon what is it showing up for ourselves. What is it showing up for our dreams, our vision, our understanding, our beliefs, our actions. Because we know that we are trying to achieve the greatness to where the greatness has never been achieved by anybody within our bloodline, within our friend group, within our whatever. You know what I'm getting to, so I'm just gonna leave it at that.
the problem is that the price is high. Discipline is really expensive. Burns energy, creates resistance.
Burns energy, burns time, burns consistency, burns input, burns output, burns skills, burns learning. Everything that I've stated, it burns. It takes time. It takes energy. It takes consistency. It takes input. It takes output. So just think about that for a second.
Feels heavy. It works, but it's a grind. And motivation is friction reduced. You want to do the thing, so the resistance.
Friction is reduced. So you want to do the thing like you stated, but you also are trying to make this vision, make this dream, make this understanding happen. But you need advice, you need opinion, you need criticism, you need hate, because nobody sees the goal of what you are truly trying to excel at besides yourself, besides you. Alright, I'll be right back. Let me pause this. I'm gonna grab some water. So see you guys in 1 second. Alright, welcome. I put my water in the freezer because it's warm. So I'll give myself, what time is it now? 3:23. I'll give myself 3 minutes to let that chill. I think I explained that pretty well. Excuse me, I had to burp.
Drops. You still need effort, but you need less of it. Motivation comes from desire, circumstance, and novelty, and identity, and community, and emotion.
Identity and community. I'll give you my definition of identity is changing your environment, changing your habits, changing the way you think, changing yourself. That is identity. Community is building a friend group around what your goals, what your habits, what your understandings, what your perspectives are. And yeah,
you can try
you get the gist of what I'm saying.
to kind of manufacture it with goal setting or visualization, community support.
Goal setting and visualization. Goal setting is making sure your goals are achievable or obtainable, and visualization. We see the vision, we see the dream, we see the reality, we see the understanding to where we see fit. So just think about that.
And celebrating micro wins, or me and Alex Hormozy compilation videos and heavy metal music.
I love Mosey. Chris and Mosey are listening to this. I really enjoy both of you guys' podcasts. I enjoy I think it's the Game Podcast by Hormozy, and I've loved every single video, advice, because I clip it. That's the other thing that I do, is that I make clips of these kind of podcasts. Like this, I'm going to clip every single thing that I can possibly clip. Like, I only do reaction videos because they take me so long. Like, this video is 1 hour and 24 minutes. I'm trying to do this through one sitting. It's difficult. It's very difficult. I put my open one in the freezer because it was warm.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's still warm. How long has it been? What?
Grab this upstairs.
Okay. I'm just making a video.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You know, a little cover over that guy.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's talking about like visualization, identity,
Oh, good.
and it's only 2 minutes in.
Okay.
So,
Good.
Yeah.
You're good.
Sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't. Right? Motivation is unreliable because it's kind of downstream of how you feel. When your mood dips,
I agree.
motivation just fucking evaporates. It's useful fuel, but you can't build a life that depends on it. And obsession is friction inverted. So remember, we've got discipline, friction accepted, motivation, friction reduced, and obsession is friction inverted. You don't...
because you're building skills, you're building beliefs, you're building habits, you're building understandings, you're building everything within your life to make sure that you become obsessed, to make sure that the success, that the dream, that the vision happens. By posting, by making the best thing that you possibly can. Just think about that for a second.
need to make yourself do the thing. You can't avoid doing it. You don't push. Instead, the work sort of pulls you toward it.
And when the work pulls you, that's the vision, that's the dream, that's the understanding that this fucking thing is calling you. Without not knowing the calling, without not knowing the ways, the forms, the representations, the beliefs, you may never know where this life will lead you in a decade and 2 decades. Like, I won't stop posting content online until I hit 1 million subscribers. And once I hit 1 million, I will cut back and probably do 15 per day. So, this video is going to be a long one, just a heads up.
Invades your thoughts. It follows you into the shower, into the car, into bed. And when you're tired, it doesn't disappear. Obsession is kind of like motivation's poltergeist big brother who just never stops haunting you. And because you can't switch it off, that's why obsessions with negative pursuits like politics or porn or a toxic ex can be so destructive. The reason that obsession is so powerful is simple. It's basically permanent, free motivation and discipline.
Agreed. It's free, it's permanent. If you're a content creator, if you're trying to make content, if you're a business owner like me, I own my own school, so I know how business works. Like, I'm not making shit from this and from my school. I'm posting maybe one time per day on my school, if that. And it's free motivation discipline because it's your calling, it's your understanding, it's your habits, it's your beliefs, it's your perspectives, all coming into the form of the line of whatever it is you're truly trying to achieve, truly trying to understand, truly trying to believe, truly trying to move the ball and the motion until you make a successful business.
You get output.
Like I said, only 3.5 minutes into this. This is gonna take a lot of effort out of myself to make it a full video.
But without negotiation, and you get action without having to tap into any willpower. It's the fuel source equivalent of hitting a superstar in Super Mario. So this is why Obsession produces such disproportionate results in a short window of time. And people look at the output and assume superhuman discipline, when in reality, if you're obsessed, the work felt almost unavoidable. People admire discipline and envy motivation, but very few understand obsession. And because they don't understand it, they waste it. So here, I think, is the part that people miss. Obsession isn't a personality trait, it's a state, which means that it can't be summoned on command. You can't decide to be obsessed. It appears when curiosity, identity, reward, and meaning sort of all accidentally align, some weird celestial bodies. And when it appears, it doesn't last forever, which is a tragedy. Right? Obsession is a non-renewable fuel source. When it leaves, you don't get it back on demand. In future, it will take you so much more effort to get even partially close to this obsessive level of output. So use your free fuel while it's available, which is why the correct response to a positive obsession isn't to suppress it or balance it or apologize for it. It's to surrender to it. So if you're currently obsessed with something positive, my advice is to kind of let it crawl inside of you and wear your skin and stare out through your eyes. Like, if you can't
Live the character, live the life, live the cycle, live the understanding. Just think about that for a second. When you let it crawl and grow into you, you become obsessed. You see the vision, you see the dream, you see the goal, you see the reality, because you are trying to make everything fit within your circle of life.
stop watching lifting videos and spend all of your time thinking about diet and training, now isn't the time to be balanced in the gym. Or if your sleep is wrecked because you're ruminating about a business idea that you can't wait to launch, and then this isn't the time for you to seek calm. You're allowed to go full-on demon founder mode with it. Serial obsessives, as far as I can see, move from intense project to intense project, making huge progress while the tide is with them, so that when the obsession inevitably fades, something important's happened already. The rails for their future behavior get laid down. So, by the time that your obsession wanes, you have built the patterns and routines and skills and habits that allow you to keep going when the fuel is no longer free.
Agreed.
So I started going to the gym when I was 18 because I was obsessed with gaining muscle, and I researched protein shake formulations and dreamt of going to Gold's Gym in LA and skipped nights out partying to stay in my bedroom and read the MISC forums on bodybuilding.com. Like the most autistic excuse for not going on a night out ever. Nearly 20 years later, I'm still training and not really.
I'm hoping when I'm 40s, I'm still making content. That's my only hope. It's my only hope and dream. That I continue on making the best content that I possibly can build. Like I said, trying to retire by the age of 25 to 30. That's my end goal. That's my end goal. And I mean, I will not stop posting until I hit 1 million to 5 million, because then I know my content is good. Like right now, I know my content is good because I see the vision, I see the dream, I see the advice that I'm giving, and I live that story. So just think about that.
Even because I'm that disciplined or motivated now, but just because an old obsession of mine fossilized into my identity. And being honest, this is true for my meditation habit and my research for podcast guests and the productivity systems that I've got and my desire to build businesses. What once obsessed me has now just simply become me. What often looks like discipline today is just the echo of someone's past obsessions. This is a quiet reframe that
I'll be back and we'll grab my water. A real visit. But overall, I'm really liking this video. Very, very much so. So now I got this cold water.
people basically never say out loud. Discipline sometimes isn't the starting point, it's just the residue. So it's what remains when obsession cools down and settles into routine. So
Fuck these ads. I don't need QuickBooks.
So, if you're lucky enough to be obsessed right now, I think you can stop trying to moderate it into something respectable.
I just had a burp where I threw up some excess like food and stuff. Ugh, disgusting.
You can stop worrying about whether it looks excessive, and you can stop pretending whether you're supposed to feel balanced. Balance is what you can enjoy later, and obsession is what you get to embrace now. Basically,
Obsession is getting to embrace within the now, getting to see the vision, getting to see the dream, getting to see the goal. Because nobody sees the vision, the goal, and the dream without us making sure that we are doing everything and anything within our power to make sure that we are successful. So just think about that for a second. We're only 7.5 minutes into this. We'll see, what time is it right now? I can probably record all this before dinner. That's my main end goal. Why is it not playing? There we go.
as far as I can see it, most people never get an obsession worth anything. So if you have one, don't waste it. And the more that I think about this, and I look at a lot...
Okay, don't waste your time, dream, vision, goal, understanding. Don't waste those 5 things. Because when you waste those 5 things, you're wasting your energy, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your persistence to lock in on one thing. One skill, one identity, one mentality, one belief system. Those 4 main pillars. Don't waste your time. Please, I beg you.
of the guys that I've met who appear to be super disciplined and they're absolutely crushing it in life, and their systems are so dialed, and you look from the outside and think, holy shit, this person is just a machine. What you don't realize is that in the past, they had no choice other than to do that thing.
They had no choice, they had no understanding, they had nothing. They grew their business, their identity, their mentality, their money from when they had nothing. So this is the time, if you are 20, if you are 30, to lock the fuck in on your business, on your dream, on your understanding, to make sure that yourself is fucking successful. You must post, you must do, you must act, you must see. Because without the vision, you have no action, you have no commitment issue, you have no understanding problem. You have no skill problem. Because you are obsessed. So just think about that.
Were completely obsessed with it, consumed their life, and now
Let it consume your life. Let it consume your way of living, your way of thinking, your way of acting. Just think about that.
like the cooled heart of the dying star that's left over, the brown dwarf of their previous huge furnace, is the life that they still have. The thing that obsessed them became their identity.
Mm-hmm.
And
Let it become your
yeah,
identity.
sure. I said you can't engineer obsession. I do think that's true. You can certainly lay the foundations for it. But the other thing is, some people are more obsessive than others. I That's something that
Whatever your obsession is, lock in for a decade, see where that vision leads, see where that dream leads, see where that understanding builds you within yourself. Build, understand, do, think, act, say, achieve, because nobody sees the way that we think around the way that we are.
been blessed or cursed with that I have a slightly obsessive personality. Not wash my hands all the time obsessive, but struggle to switch off obsessive. And I'm going to guess if you're watching this show that you do too. What that means is you are going to probably, like a serial monogamist, you're going to bounce from obsession relationship to obsession relationship. And if you dampen it down too much, if you don't fully allow it to kind of take over your life, at least to whatever level is healthy, or even maybe a little bit beyond the level that's healthy, you're going to miss out on free motivation and free discipline, and then
Free motivation, free time, distractions. You're going to miss out on everything because you are locking in on this dream, on this vision, on this understanding. You are locking in on everything to make sure that you are successful. Just think about that.
at the end of it, because this isn't going to last forever, right?
Agreed.
Obsession isn't going to, it's a non-renewable fuel source. You can't bring it back when you want to. Once that's cooled off, if you haven't allowed it to kind of take over your life fully, what you end up with is a world where you fought against the thing you wanted to do to stop it from being so all-encompassing or like unrespectable. And then once it's finished and you don't have it anymore, you didn't gain the momentum and the identity that allowed you to kind of flow through it afterward, so that it then became the way that you show up. I'm just a guy that goes to the gym. I'm just a guy that builds businesses. I'm just a guy that meditates or whatever. So yeah, I think that's I love this. I love this idea. I love the fact that obsession gets a really bad rap, and in many ways it can be horrible, especially when it's pointed toward politics or porn or X. But if it's pointed towards something that's actually good, you should allow it to kind of take over your life. And then once it's finished, everyone will look from the outside and, oh my God, dude, how do you train so much? You know, you like really consistent with your training. You must be really disciplined. You must be so motivated. And you're like, not really, man. Like I just used to be obsessed with this and now it's kind of who I am. All right, next one, the paradox of self-awareness. So everyone understands
I like
that
this one.
actions are more important than words.
Actions are more important than words. Without actions, there's no word. Without actions, there's no potential. Without actions, there's no understanding. Without actions, there's no way of thinking. That is why, to add on to what he's saying.
Right? You are what you do, not what you say you'll do.
You are with what you do. You are your actions, you are understandings, you are your purpose, you are your thoughts, whatever the fuck. You are not your thoughts, you are the way you do and revolve around your life. Whatever it is, distractions, understandings, perspectives, whatever it is, you are within that self. So unlock it now, please. I beg of you. Please unlock it now.
And there's this line from Hamlet, thus conscience does make cowards of us all. And I never read any Shakespeare. I can barely remember even going through it in school. But I came across this line again and did a deep dive on what it means. Thus conscience does make cowards of us all. Mm-hmm. This line comes from Hamlet, and it's usually misheard as an insult. It's as if Shakespeare is sort of sneering at morality, saying that ethics soften us, or thought drains courage from the body. I don't think that's what's happening. Shakespeare isn't attacking goodness. He's pointing at self-awareness and naming its cost. It's in the to be or not to be soliloquy, and Hamlet isn't really weighing life versus death. He's circling a more practical question. Why do humans hesitate to act even when action would clearly relieve their suffering? Like, why do we endure situations we don't want? And why do we tolerate lives that we could, in theory, change?
Agreed.
Well, pain isn't the only obstacle. Imagination is. And by conscience, Shakespeare means something closer to consciousness. It's the ability to think ahead, to judge ourselves, to simulate futures before they arrive. It's to see the consequences coming and experience them emotionally in advance.
To see the consequences, to see the vision, to see the dream, to see the understanding, to see the perspective, to see the life that you want to create and live.
And unfortunately, that ability cuts both ways. because the very capacity that makes you reflective and ethical and intelligent also makes you hesitant. We imagine worst case scenarios so vividly that we treat them as if they're already real. So
Agreed.
courage isn't defeated by fear, it's defeated by simulation. We rehearse embarrassment, loss, rejection, and moral failure in advance, and then our bodies respond as if those things have already happened. Your heart rate rises, your muscles tighten. Avoidance feels sensible, and inaction feels like safety. Hamlet describes what follows. Thought, he says, puzzles the will. Thought puzzles the will. Reflection drains us, not because thinking is bad, but because it multiplies potential outcomes faster than our actions can deal with them. Right? I think that's so cool. Thinking isn't bad itself, but it's able to generate more realities than our actions can solve. Animals don't suffer this, right? They just act when a threshold is crossed. Humans linger, and by the time that the moment to move arrives, we feel as if we've already lived through its inevitable failure. So we wait. This is the deeper psychological point that I think Shakespeare is making. And I'm aware that a guy that basically didn't read Shakespeare is just reverse engineering what I think he said. But I do think that this is a cool interpretation, right? Our intelligence doesn't just protect us, it also inhibits us. We learn quickly from mistakes that we make, but we almost never feel the cost of mistakes that we avoid. The humiliation of speaking and failing leaves a scar, but the decades-long erosion of never speaking leaves nothing that you can point to, which explains why people stay in the wrong job, the wrong relationship, the wrong version of themselves for years. Not because they don't know better, but because action demands stepping into an unrehearsed future. Hamlet names the real enemy, which is uncertainty, right? Not pain or effort, but just the unknown. Our minds would rather endure a familiar misery than gamble on an unfamiliar freedom. Even suffering becomes tolerable once it's predictable, but people would rather spend years in misery than risk a few days of pain. And this is why modern life, despite being safer than any previous era, often feels more paralyzing, right? Because our nervous systems evolved to avoid death and lions, and now we use it to avoid embarrassment and misjudgment and reputational damage and identity fracture.
My meeting notes went from this to this after I started using granola. I'm in meetings all day.
And here's the final uncomfortable implication Shakespeare leaves hanging. Self-awareness is not a pure good, right? Beyond a certain point, self-awareness actually inhibits agency. Less reflection can mean more peace. Less certainty can mean more movement. Less conscience can sometimes mean more life. Courage isn't about thinking clearly. It's about moving while things are still unclear. You know, there's that famous line, the unexamined life is not worth living. But a life can be deeply examined and still never lived. This paradox of self-awareness, the fact that the deeper you think, sometimes the less you're able to act. If your mind is able to generate realities more quickly than you are able to come up with solutions or move through them, you kind of have this weird cost-benefit imbalance, or maybe like a cost-profit. Your balance sheet is offset, where the overheads are higher than the revenue. And this sort of puts you in a negative equity in terms of your ability to move forward.
Yep.
And that can freeze you in place. You don't want to do something because you think, look at all of the ways that could go wrong. And the more ways it could go wrong, the less ability I'm going to have to act. And what if this thing occurs and that thing occurs? And over time, conscience makes cowards of us all. It's weird because most people probably need to be more thoughtful. They need to spend more time, be less rash, act less impulsively. But there is a cohort of people that are the opposite, and they're people like me and maybe you too. And they're the people who think more than they should, talk themselves out of more things than into them, and actually move more slowly. They get less done in life due to their thought than more. Now, they'll make way fewer mistakes, and that's great. But again, the mistake of omission is different to the mistake of commission. So
Agreed.
people make commission errors if they don't think enough. People make omission errors if they think too much. Like if you overthink, decide not to go up and speak to that girl that's been in the cafeteria at work for 6 months, she gets a boyfriend, would have been the perfect partner for you, and you decide to not make the move because you've talked yourself into and out of it so many times. Your mind's ability to show you what could go wrong is greater than your action's ability to fix it in reality.
Well said.
That is an omission
I couldn't state that any more than better than what he said.
error, but we don't see it in the same way because it's not as obvious. For instance, I chose to not bring a number of guests on this podcast in 2024. And maybe that's leaked out of me in a couple of other vlogs or whatever, but I didn't make a big song and dance about it. I basically never spoke about it. I'm never going to get credit for the things that I didn't do. And in the same way, you never pay a cost for the things that you don't do. I mean, look, if you leave a person to bleed out on the side of the street without calling the ambulance, that's a kind of omission error, but it's pretty obvious. A much more quiet omission error is I was scared of building the business because my mind taught me all of the different ways that stuff could go wrong.
Like I said, I couldn't state this any more better than what he's stating it right now. So that's why I ain't talking.
So I didn't do it. And I'll never know the pain of not fulfilling my dreams, but I avoided the pain of failure. And the pains of failure are much more prevalent in our mind than the pain of, fuck, what if this doesn't go well? So there's this great audiobook from Tony Robbins. It's 30 years old. George Mack sent it to me. I don't even know how to find it. I'll try and find it and put it in the links, but it's basically an hour-and-a-half worksheet, Awaken the Giant Within. But it's an audiobook, and all he does, it's basically one long exercise to try and front load the pain as much as possible. Look at what this situation you're in now has cost you in the past. Look
Don't need to explain this any more than what he's explaining then.
at what it's costing you right now, and look at what it will cost you in the future. And he tries to get you to sit in the discomfort as much as possible. It's horrible. It's awful exercise. It's like the mental equivalent of an ice bath. And then he gets you to try and do the opposite. Look at what would have happened in the past if you'd made the change that you want to, that you think is right, if you'd improved this thing. Look at what would be happening now, and look at what would happen in the future. And he tries to sort of get you to use, he calls it the pain and pleasure principle.
I like that.
Motivate your behavior through pain and pleasure. And the type of pain that you can front load with, look at what not starting this thing has cost you in the past and now in the future. You have to be much more conscious. Like the commission errors come naturally to us, but the omission errors are much more hidden. So you need to do an exercise. You need to consciously bring omission errors in. Like, fuck, like, I've always wanted to be a stand-up comedian. I've always just wanted to do, I want to do an open mic. I just really want to do an open mic. And you've put it off for decades. You never did it. You never closed that loop. And you might hate it. Here's the other thing. The thing that you're putting off from doing, you might absolutely hate, but at least once you realize whether you like it or you don't, you can go up and speak to the girl in the cafeteria and find out she's got horrible breath and she's an asshole. There you go. Loop closed. You don't need to think about it. But the what if after the fact will kill you, but the what if before the fact is really hard to determine. So, yeah, I think thus conscience does make cowards of us all. That is my year 7, 4th grade assessment of Shakespeare. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. A quick aside, most people can return the free
I couldn't state it more so than what he has already stated.
It doesn't sit well with us. Your hard-earned money sitting in traditional bank accounts, collecting more dust than interest. So we reimagine savings with Vanguard Cash Plus to offer up to 8 times more interest.
I like that.
Vanguard.
Everything within your power to make sure that you are succeeding within the life that you want to have. That's well said on it.
The soul has a positive side. So there's a quote from Rogan, the worst thing that's ever happened to you
Is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. I don't think I need to explain this any more than what he is stating, but let's dive into this.
is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. The saddest that you've ever been is the saddest you've ever been. The hardest you've ever worked is the hardest that you've ever worked. Shock, horror. But tough times aren't fun in the moment for the same reason that no one ever believes that they're living through a golden era, right? The golden years, interestingly, only ever seem to exist in the past because it's only with the benefit of hindsight that we know all of our worries were a waste of time. But when you're going through it, all of your concerns are still open loops. They're all things to fear. And in retrospect, you see that you had the ability to handle whatever your problems were and that there was nothing to be bothered about, which suggests that if you've just come out of the hardest period of your life, this seems like a cause for celebration, right? Because you now have a new...
Like I said, can't explain this any more than what he's stating. I'm loving this, so I don't gotta talk. We're only 23 minutes into this, and I'm really enjoying this video as of right now.
workload level that's been unlocked. Every new challenge that you go through shows you a new territory that you were scared of but survived. Each time that you break a new limit, you now know that you have the capacity to handle more than you ever did before. It's kind of like...
You have the capacity, you have the willpower, you have the drive, you have the understanding, you have the perspective that you are trying to build within yourself to make sure that you are successful. So just think about that. You can handle more things, you can do more things, you can see more things.
Inverse PTSD or workload exposure therapy, and it teaches you, oh, I've been here before and I didn't die. This is okay. Joe was making some pithy comment about like misgendering a blue-haired barista and said, if that's the worst thing that's ever happened to someone, the worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you, that is a big deal. And it kind of is a big deal. You could imagine some person had been created in a lab and raised by robots, and they'd never endured any discomfort. And they go outside and they feel the wind on their skin. I mean, maybe it would be nice, but let's say it was a strong wind, or maybe it was a strong wind with some leaves in it and sand or whatever. That to them might be absolute agony because their level of sensitivity has been tuned down an awful lot.
Well said.
And I think the same thing can happen psychologically too, to people that, wow, I've not really ever been through much difficulty. That all of this stuff has been snowplowed out of my way, and then I've arrived in the world, and fuck, it's harder than I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. But the opposite is also...
It's harder than what you thought it could be. It is easier than what it should be, and it's way more difficult to obtain. That's why posting content is, I think it's very easy for me, but not a lot of people see people as difficult. Whatever you find easy, pleasure in, that can make you money, do it. Lock in for 1 decade, see where it leads, see where it goes, see where it understands, because you may never know where this life will lead you to.
So true. Which means if you're the sort of person who regularly seeks out discomfort, or discomfort seeks you out and you have to push back against it, each time that you do something that you couldn't previously believe that you had in the locker, this is a new level that you have just got to that teaches your body, I've been here before and I didn't die, this is okay. For instance, I just came back from this tour in Australia, and the opening night was 2,500 people in Sydney, which is the second biggest audience, wrapped around fucking IMAX screens. But I hadn't done it in front of partners of people. Instead, apart from in this small comedy club in Austin, which is just to me going out with warm audience, it just felt really, really difficult. And that is now the new, I thought this thing was going to destroy me and I got through it. Wow, well, the next time that I do it, maybe the sound cuts out halfway through. At that same show, the sound guy decided to trigger the end of show sequence halfway through. It's the first time that's ever happened to me. In New York, the people who came to the New York show, it's difficult. You know that exposure therapy is something that you could see as really toxic and bad and difficult, and actually realize, wow, this is kind of a gift to my future self. Look at how hard you can work, look at how much you can endure, look at how skillfully you were able to get through this thing, and on the other side of it, that's your new level. You know that you can do that too.
All right. Now we gotta go help people customize and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Libby, where's the golf cart?
All right, 6 lessons about choosing a life direction. First one, James Clear. It doesn't make sense to continue wanting something if you're not willing to do what it takes to.
There's no point in wanting something if you're not willing to do what it takes to get the thing. That is well said by James Clear. I don't think I really need to explain that anymore because it's very well spoken.
Get it. If you don't want to live the lifestyle, then release yourself from the desire.
Well said, Chris, and well said, Clear.
To crave the result, but not the process, is to guarantee disappointment. I think that is so fucking good. It doesn't make sense to continue wanting something if you're not willing to do what it takes to get it. If you don't want to live the lifestyle, then release yourself from the desire. So a lot of the time people might think, I want to become a touring rock star. You go, okay, you crave the result, touring rock star. Do you want the process? Do you want the lifestyle to get there and then the lifestyle of being there too? To become a touring rock star, you're going to have to play guitar in your bedroom on your own with no one listening and no promise of whether or not it's going to work for like a decade. Right?
That's why I tell people to lock in on your dream for a decade, because you may never know where this business idea, where this understanding, where this perspective can lead you to. So just lock in for a decade, see where it goes for 1 decade, and quit if you want to quit.
You're going to have to learn all of the scales. You're going to have to learn to write music. You're going to have to find bandmates and learn mastering and recording and bouncing tracks and fucking, all of this stuff. Do you want that? Do you want to have calluses on your fingers? And then the lifestyle of actually even being there. You're going to be on the road, away from your friends and your family for 6 months of the year, every single year. You're going to be in a smelly tour bus for the first half of your career because you're not going to have made it unless you break through with like Gangnam Style or some shit. And then, okay, is that what you want? Is that really what you want? Do you want something, and are you willing to do what it takes to get it? Because if it's not both, it doesn't matter.
Agreed.
Next one. Outward complaints aren't a good gauge of internal suffering. Just because someone carries it well doesn't mean it isn't heavy. Just because someone carries it well doesn't mean it isn't heavy. This is an Oliver Berkman line. And I often think about this, the challenge of somebody that looks competent, or if you're the responsible one in your friend group, you're the one that is listening to Huberman podcasts and trying to optimize your sleep, and maybe you've gone to therapy and you're doing meditation, you're trying to be balanced and regulated and all of these things. Typically,
well said, couldn't explain any more than what he's stating.
Your friends around you, that means, well, like Leanne, she's always got it together. Like Leanne doesn't need help. Like she's always good. But you don't understand if this person is bearing even more weight than everybody else around them. But just
on some pants, give me like 5 minutes.
Into it, not breaking down. And again, it goes back to the Rogan thing of the worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. If you are carrying a heavier weight than someone else, but you just know that your capacity to lift it is greater, that doesn't mean it isn't heavy. It just means that you're doing a really good job at keeping it quiet.
We need to localize the summer campaign by yesterday. Top performers only. B, that's the one. Skip carousels for now. Let me know when we're good to go. Amazing. Agents, what shall we take on next?
Every part of my day essentially revolves around the way QuickBooks Online Advanced works. It helps me understand my business's overall health by giving me that information, providing me with an updated profit and loss statement every day, providing me with the information in real time at my fingertips whenever I need it, whether it's in my office or on the go. As a business owner, you always want to know where the money is, where the money's going, where the money came from. QuickBooks Online Advanced has helped us streamline that entire process, really paints me a clear picture on what direction the business is moving, and therefore allows me to make educated decisions on how to take those next steps with the business. QuickBooks Online Advanced takes all of the financial needs, wants, and desires of my business and puts them in one spot. With Advanced, I'm able to focus on where the business is going next and what steps we need to take to get there.
I'll be downstairs.
Your life does not need to be easier. It needs to be simple.
So Chris, I've stated everything very, very well. So I'm going to continue. I just got to go to the bathroom.
I think this is such a true rule. Your system is designed to handle stress and challenge, but not complication. So think about it. You probably handle hard things pretty well, but you feel overwhelmed when they become messy. So don't attribute to difficulty something that can be explained by complexity. Your system is designed to handle stress and challenge, but not complication. If you think about the times when you felt very overwhelmed, I'm going to guess that it's rarely because of one pathway of thing being too intense. It's typically because you have one thing that's pretty intense, and then your mum gets ill, or your partner has an argument with you, or there's an issue with your house, or the power goes out, or you lose your job, or whatever. It's the complexity that really wrecks us. You are able to handle stress and challenge, but the complexity, the complication is when stuff gets really difficult. And don't attribute to difficulty something that can get explained by complexity. And obviously the solution here, the implied solution, is if you're feeling overwhelmed, look at how you can reduce down complexity as opposed to intensity. Or if you've got lots of things and it feels really complicated and complex, just attack one at a time. You're not going to be able to fix your relationship and get the power back on in your house and
Everything that he has stated is very well said. So let's get deeper into this video.
complete that presentation for what it's like. Okay, I just need to triage this. What is the number one problem? And I'm just going to go through them sequentially as opposed to in parallel. The more that I think about that rule, that your system's designed to handle stress but not complication, is the more true it is. So try and simplify stuff wherever possible. Another one, you need fewer inputs, not more. The answers you seek are in the silence you're avoiding.
The answers you seek are in the silence you're avoiding. You need more outputs and less inputs. The work that you are needed to get done is within the silence that you are avoiding. It's in the work that you are avoiding. So just think about that for a second.
The answers you seek are in the silence you're avoiding. Shameless rework of the magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
But this is a different pathway, and I don't think that it's the same solution. A lot of the time you do need to work harder, and you're trying to dress it in whatever outfit you can so that you don't need to lean in and do the work. And that's great and important, and maybe for most people is true. But after a while, once you've got the I work hard muscle embedded, you then realize that because you're working so hard, you're not listening to fleeting thoughts. You've maybe pushed your intuition to one side. You're not able to tap into your gut as well. You don't actually know what you like because you're in so much chaos and busyness and complication. It's a little bit hard for you to tap into that inner sense. And that's when you need to use a different fuel source. The answers you seek are in the silence you're avoiding. You could also say the answers you seek are in the showers you're avoiding. I think shower thoughts, underrated. Toilet thoughts, overrated. Saw a tweet the other day. Some guy said that if you sit on the toilet for too long with your ass hanging out, that you get hemorrhoids. Don't know if that's true, but no one's ever had a problem with too long of a shower. So longer showers, the answers you seek are in the silence you're avoiding. Another one, don't fall into the trap of mourning a life that you can still live. Don't fall into the trap of mourning a life that you can still live. Basically, if you are the sort of person that's regularly surprised at how well things go,
then you need to put pressure on the gas. You need to put pressure on how things go surprisingly well. Then you need to lock in, do more outputs, do more inputs, do more volume, because you are willing to succeed what others cannot.
maybe that's a good indication that you're allowed to believe in yourself more. So many people, as far as I can see, have this premeditated resentment for the life that they don't think they're going to be able to exist in. They don't think that they're going to be able to live this life, but they still have the opportunity to. And a lot of these people, the overthinkers, the ones who conscience makes a coward of,
Yep, well said.
they have all of the skills to be able to fix this thing. They can go and get this thing done, but their overthinking, their fear is getting in the way of them believing it, and it's almost like they're trapped inside of a prison. They're the prisoner and the prison guard, and they've got the keys on them at the same time. Like, if things go well, you can probably believe in yourself more, and if you still have the opportunity to live a life, I think it's a really bad idea to get resentful and sad about the fact that you're not living it. It's like, it's right in front of you. Just go and do it. And then the final one, simple steps to a better life. To improve your life, focus on what you like instead of what you dislike, and focus on people who focus on what they like instead of what they dislike. And
Well said.
this just becomes more and more true, especially as I get older, which might be me trying to offset the sort of natural entropy toward grumpiness. But I just like being around people that are enthusiastic about stuff. There are two categories of friends, typically, that you spend time with. One are people who want to talk about shit that they're fired up about, really excited. This is something that's so cool, I've got to show you this thing. And then, did you see what ... did today? Did you see that thing? I don't know, man. I really like being around people that are positive. And again, the one tattoo that I have on my body is on the inside of my wrist, and it says smile, because I was trying to remind myself at 23 to stop being such a miserable bastard, which might just be being British, I don't know. However, I like offsetting that. I like being around people that make me more fired up. Maybe there is someone out there who is too enthusiastic and needs to be around a bunch of British people to, bring that down. Come and be my friend. I'll fucking bring you back down to earth. But yeah, I think be around people who talk about what they like, not what they dislike. And to make your life better, also focus on what you like instead of what you dislike. So, yeah, there's some
Well said again. Couldn't explain it better than what he already said.
lessons about choosing your life direction. In other news,
At IHG Hotels and Resorts, you can explore the neighborhood or live like a local. Unplug for the day or plunge into a long weekend. With IHG's 21 hotel brands, you can guest how you guest.
Okay, wait, you still have bots joining your calls?
I feel like I have to.
No, look, if you're gonna use an AI in your meetings, you need to be using Granola.
Wait, what's Granola?
So Granola is like a note taker, or more like a notepad. It just runs in the background. But a bot never joins the call. You just write your notes like you normally would.
Yeah, but it probably just gives you like a long transcript.
No, it actually takes all your notes plus what happened during the call. And it builds out a whole recap in like an easy readable way. And let's say you step away for a few minutes and come back, you can ask it, what did I miss? And it will literally tell you everything that you missed so you can jump right back in.
Okay, that's sick. Wait, you said it's called Granola?
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Designing and selling the thing that you right to shopify.com/modern wisdom, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/modern wisdom. All right, next one, the fuck you family. So I started thinking a lot about why the fathers that I know seem to have a different kind of confidence about themselves, and I think it's because of this concept that I can't unsee anymore. So fuck you money is a meme, but it's also a truth, right? Fuck you money. There's an amount of wealth that you can achieve when the typical restrictions and conventions no longer apply to you. You don't have to suck up to gatekeepers. You don't need to do things that you don't want to do. And in extreme situations, you basically don't even need to follow the law because you can just pay people off. Similarly, fuck you freedom is kind of downstream from fuck you money, but can also be achieved through cultivating a lack of resilience and reliance on other groups. There's no restrictions on where you can travel to and when and for how long. You don't need to show up to work on time or work at all. And if you're sufficiently well structured, you don't even need to care about the state of the economy or the power grid or the wider world. This is the I live in Dripping Springs on a ranch that's got completely independent power with solar solar panels and a ton of guns, and it's Tucker Max. This is Tucker Max. I'm talking about Tucker Max there. But I then started thinking about a different type of fuck you liberation, which is significantly cheaper and more accessible and more common and maybe even more powerful. And this is the fuck you family. So a lot of the fathers that I've spoken to have told me about how their priorities were completely changed when they started a family. All of the previous status games that they played seemed petty. The games that they used to go through in an attempt to impress people in power or those with status seemed juvenile and shallow. Much of their anxiety around whether different people and groups liked them or thought that they were cool just sort of evaporated, because the only people they needed to care about impressing were asleep under their roof or in the bed next to them. Because to their kids, these dads were the coolest, richest, strongest, most heroic person on the planet, and that gave them a very powerful type of liberation. It seems to me that much of what young men get up to are surrogate activities until they finally get a family. And this isn't to say that all fathers become placid soy boy hippies or that having kids neuters your ambition, but it definitely seems to open up a new level where they care far less about the opinions of others. And ultimately, what's the point in having fuck you freedom if you never say fuck you? I really think that the aggressive business-chasing capitalist meritocratic society thing, which I'm all in favor of and have benefited from, obviously, and love, is playing off the fact that the longer people put off having a family, the more they find activities that replace that same dynamic inside of them. It's the obsession with body or aesthetics or sport or business or wealth creation or status or travel or whatever. That's not to say that any of these things can't be good, obviously. But if you were to have the family, I think that you would find a lot of those. It would be like going around trying to eat a shit ton of different foods that were all nutrient sparse, when there was a nutrient-dense food that you could go to that would satisfy a lot of those ambitions more quickly. Does that make sense? It's basically the source that you could go to, like the most pure version of this, the condensed, like concentrated, weapons-grade version of a lot of what you're looking for, to me seems to be on the other side of a family. I mean, look, is this hypocrisy? I don't think it's hypocrisy. It's closer to dreaming, right? I am totally open to the fact that I might be completely wrong and I'm going to have a family and my drive is going to go up through the roof and maybe I'm going to be more miserable and maybe I'm going to care more about the opinions of others and what a fucking amount of humble pie I'm going to have to eat if that's the case. I'm just going off what I've seen with other people. I'm going off what I've seen with the fathers around me and stuff. Maybe I've done a post-mortem incorrectly. Maybe I will live to eat my words, but I don't know. Maybe this is just a fucking pipe dream. Maybe it's a pipe dream for me that there's some level of personal development available on the other side of kids. Also, not saying that you should only have kids as a selfish way to bypass the work that you need to do to care about the opinions of others. Just intriguing thoughts. I'm a sommelier. I'm just offering you some, just some intriguing thoughts for you there. Or maybe just totally wrong ones. I don't know.
You're invited to join Phoenix Energy's next webinar, where you can drill deeper into our bond offerings. We currently offer 2 investment.
All right. Next one. I fucking love this idea. I absolutely love this idea. The curse of psychological strength. Everyone has a limit, right? And an end to the amount of discomfort that they can cope with. And this is obvious physically. Some people can lift more and run further than others, but how much emotional pain or upset or disappointment that a person can endure is subtler, harder to detect. It's not apparent in the size of someone's arms, but in the capacity of their nervous system. It's not a weight that you can see on a squat rack. It's their ability to carry a heavy emotional load. And this psychological strength can be a good thing. because you're able to handle more than most. You don't balk at pain. You keep pushing through, regardless of how you feel. But too much strength can be a weakness, and high performers are particularly vulnerable to this trap. Psychological strength is rewarded almost everywhere. In the gym, it's discipline. In business, it's grit. In public, it's composure. You become the person who can handle it, who doesn't complain, who pushes through when others would quit. Basically, your ability to ignore how you feel and keep moving forward earns admiration, builds your career, and creates momentum. But what you are praised for in public, you often pay for in private. Relationships don't reward endurance. They require attunement. And if your default strategy in life is to absorb discomfort and override warning signs, you will do exactly that when someone repeatedly hurts you. You'll rationalize it, reframe it, decide that it's your job to make it work. And the stronger you are, the longer you can stay. What looks like strength from the outside becomes self-abandonment on the inside. You've trained yourself to believe that struggle is noble and difficulty is meaningful, so when love feels destabilizing, it doesn't register as a warning. It feels like a challenge. And challenges are your thing. But a relationship isn't a marathon to be endured. It's a place to feel safe. And the qualities that make you formidable in the arena can quietly make you miserable in your own living room. Let's say that you're dating and you feel like a side character in your own relationship. You put them first, they put you sixth. The rupture is regular, the repair is absent. Lower resilience, less stubborn people would have broken long ago and said, I'm out. But not you. You're the David Goggins of psychological suffering. Forget carrying the boats. You'll carry the whole fleet forever. In these situations, you're faced with a much tougher problem. Not how much can you tolerate, but how much do you want to tolerate? Perhaps this is what you had to do as a child. If your needs weren't noticed, your sadness gets ignored, or your feelings didn't matter, then you became accustomed to pushing through disconnection in order to make those relationships function. If child you learns, I need to work hard to be loved, then adult you believes, if I'm not loved, I just need to work harder. You achieve 10,000 hours of ignoring your own needs. You can't tell people how you feel without first worrying about how it will make them feel. You unconsciously believe that suffering is the price of connection and that silent subjugation is noble. You basically think, I should be able to tolerate the intolerable in order to make this work. And when you try to connect with someone who doesn't see your needs, you don't notice this person isn't attuned to me. Instead, you sense, this relationship pattern feels familiar. This must be what love is.